Alright, the time has come. My first video about the 97th Academy Awards coming your way in 2025. Hi, it's Brian. Welcome to the Awards Contender, and I thought it would be fun today to give you my annual ridiculously early Oscar predictions video for the upcoming 97th Academy Awards. Which 10 films do I think, as of this moment in April 2024, have the best chance of being major awards players next year? And at the end of the video, I will also give you my ridiculously early Oscar predictions for picture, actor, and actress. Are you ready? Here we go. Number 1, Dune Part 2. So as of this moment, there's only one film that's going to be an easy call as a major Oscar contender next year, and that's Dune Part 2. This is the only awards movie everybody has seen. It is fantastic, a huge, mammoth, blockbuster hit at the box office, and reviews are through the roof. I was a little nervous at the beginning, like, it's coming out March 1st. That's very early in the year to then go on to be an awards player basically a year later. But I do think back to like Get Out, that came out in February and did very well at the Oscars, and then Everything Everywhere All at Once. I mean, Oppenheimer was July, that's not super early, but I feel like there has been a trend the last couple years that your movie doesn't have to come out in October, November, December to win a bunch of Oscars, to be a major player. I don't think Dune Part 2 coming out at the beginning of March is going to hurt it that much. The first Dune got into Best Picture, and then it won a ton of Oscars in the technical categories, and Dune Part 2 is a better film. So it has to get in, right? Not only picture and some technical categories, but maybe director for Denis Villeneuve, and maybe even an acting category. I've seen some people online floating the idea that Timothée Chalamet can get into Best Actor. I don't see that happening, but Austin Butler in Best Supporting Actor, I do think is a possibility. Like, if there is enough awards momentum for this movie in the months to come, and in 2025 there's a big push for Butler, he gets in, let's say, at Golden Globes and Critics' Choice, I do think Butler, with his Elvis nomination behind him pretty recently, could get into supporting actor for Dune Part 2. I don't see anyone else from the movie getting into an acting category though, including Chalamet. And then director is interesting. Will Villeneuve make it in there? He did not get a director nomination for Dune Part 1. It's just a stunning piece of filmmaking that I do think it's possible Dune Part 2 could get as many as 10 Oscar nominations, I would say. Maybe even more. This thing is going to do very well at the 97th Academy Awards. Number 2, Joker, Folie à Deux. Is that how you say it? Folie à Deux? I took French in high school, so if that wasn't the correct pronunciation, let me know. I will get it right next time. But yeah, Joker 2. Is this movie going to be a big awards player? I think it's going to be. It's coming out in early October. That's usually a very good release date for a big awards contender. And the first Joker movie got, 11 nominations in early 2020, got into Best Picture and Best Director. Joaquin Phoenix, of course, won Best Actor. So I feel like the only reason Joker 2 doesn't get into the Oscars is that it sucks. Like, it's just not a good movie. That's the only way I think it's not a big awards player. I have a sense about that movie. Whether I personally love it or not, I was kind of so-so on the first Joker movie. But Lady Gaga joining the cast, having her be a big part of this one, I've heard it's kind of a musical too. It just feels really creative and unique, and because of the success of Joker 1 at the Oscars, it would surprise me if the upcoming Joker film doesn't get into some of the top categories, including picture, actor, and actress. Now, this might be a case where Joker 2 comes up short in some areas, and it turns out to only get into, let's say, 3 or 4 categories, one above the line and then like 2 or 3 below the line. that could happen too. I mean, I just talked about Dune Part 2, and now I'm talking about Joker Part 2. I mean, how many sequels are going to get into the Oscars in 2025? And again, that release date gives me some optimism. Like the first week of October, that's when The Departed opened, that's when Gravity opened. Like that's usually a sign the studio believes in your film. And they shot this movie a long time ago. Wasn't it like the spring of 2023? They have been holding it, working on it. And yeah, I think Joker Folie à Deux is going to be a big Oscar movie. Number 3, Blitz. So I was thinking earlier today, putting together my list, just how hard it is this year to come up with 10 awards titles. It's not so simple. Last year was a lot easier, I would say. I mean, we had a Martin Scorsese film coming. We knew that was getting into the Oscars. And then Christopher Nolan having a big historical epic film. That one made sense too. I mean, when you don't know what to predict, start with the directors. Like, what major talented directors have films coming out later in the year? And one I've had my eye on for a few months ever since I made my Saoirse Ronan and the Elusive Oscar video is Blitz, the new film from Steve McQueen, who made 12 Years a Slave. I know it's been a while since he's made like a big Oscar movie, but this one feels like it's going to happen. It's an Apple release coming out in November, I think. And Saoirse Ronan, 4-time Oscar-nominated Saoirse Ronan, plays one of the main characters. It's a World War II movie coming out in November by Apple. Signs are pointing to yes for this movie, I would say. I mean, there was Napoleon. That was an Apple release in November, big historical epic film, and that came up short, only got into 3 technical categories. So if Blitz isn't a great film, let's say it's only good or it's okay, I still think it gets into the Oscars somewhere, maybe not in the top categories, but let's say it's outstanding. I do think Blitz, if it's really, really, really good, could be the movie of 2024 that wins Best Picture and Best Director. Like, I do think that could happen. The timing of the movie, the big studio behind it, Steve McQueen has still not won an Oscar. There would be a narrative behind McQueen, and Saoirse Ronan too has never won an Oscar. If she got into Best Actress, let's say, I mean, she could be a frontrunner. We shall see. So yeah, I'm feeling pretty good about Blitz right now. Nobody's seen it, of course. Maybe it'll crash and burn, I don't know. But I have high hopes for this one. I'm excited. Number 4, Sing Sing. Now here's a movie some people have seen. It premiered at the Toronto Film Festival last fall and got rave reviews, especially for Colman Domingo in the lead role. Apparently it's about incarcerated men who start a theater group. I have not personally seen it yet, but I have heard great things, and Colman Domingo is on a roll right now after his Oscar nomination for Rustin. I do think this early in the game, Domingo is probably coming for his second Oscar nomination, regardless of how well the movie does in other categories like picture and director and technical categories and things. Colman Domingo feels right for a second Oscar nomination in just 2 years. It sounds like an emotionally riveting story. A24 picked it up. A24 has done well at the Oscars the last couple years with Past Lives and, of course, Everything Everywhere All at Once. And so A24 handling this movie does give me hope, and I'm looking forward to Sing Sing. Number 5, Conclave. So here's a movie I've had my eye on for a few weeks now, Conclave, from director Edward Berger, who made All Quiet on the Western Front. Again, when it comes to these awards hopefuls, I always look at the director. Who directed the movie? And Berger's All Quiet on the Western Front from 2022 did extremely well that award season, especially at BAFTA and the Oscars. And here with Conclave, we have a Focus Features release coming out in November with a truly remarkable cast, including Ray Fiennes, Stanley Tucci, Isabella Rossellini, and John Lithgow. So the cast also makes me intrigued by this movie. It does say thriller on IMDb. Thriller. I'm like, The big question with Conclave for me is how much of a thriller is it and how much of like a psychological drama it might be instead. If it's like a full-on thriller with action scenes and stuff, then maybe Conclave doesn't get anything, I don't know. But those three factors, burger, focus features, November release. So keep an eye out for Conclave. Number 6, The Apprentice. Hoo boy, The Apprentice. Is this movie going to be Vice or is it going to be W? Like, it could go either way. A movie in an election year about Donald Trump in the 1980s, filled with some amazing actors, Sebastian Stan, Jeremy Strong, Maria Bakalova from Borat 2. Like, there is something about this project that has me intrigued. I feel like the biggest struggle the movie's going to have is the Donald Trump of it all. And if it's not the right tone, if the actors are hamming it up even a little bit, this movie could crash and burn. I don't know. But there's something about that cast and this concept, like, because Vice did as well as it did, a movie about Dick Cheney in 2018. I mean, that film got into picture and actor and supporting actress and did fairly well. I think if The Apprentice was about Trump now, I wouldn't even consider it. But because it's telling a story about Trump in the 1980s, that has me think, okay, the historical element of it, I do think that will make the film more palatable for audiences. If this was telling a story of like Trump in the 2016 election or something, I don't think that would work. But because it's set in the 80s, I feel like this movie could go the distance. Even if it doesn't get into, let's say, Best Picture, I do think it could get a couple acting nominations, maybe screenplay or something. I do feel like The Apprentice is going to be a very much talked about movie this year and could get into the Oscars. Number 7, The Piano Lesson. Now, this movie I have my eye on for a few reasons. One, it's a Netflix film coming out at the end of the year. As we have seen the last few years, Netflix does very well at the Oscars. Even if the movie doesn't get into Best Picture like Nyad or Rustin, if a Netflix drama with big stars comes out in November or December, watch out. I mean, as we saw with Maestro, that was a film that not everybody loved, but it still got into picture and actor and actress and original screenplay. So just the Netflix of it all makes me think The Piano Lesson could be a thing. Another thing that makes me confident about this movie is the cast. Samuel L. Jackson and John David Washington. Neither one has done very well at the Oscars. Samuel L. Jackson still only has that one Oscar nomination in Best Supporting Actor for Pulp Fiction. I also think he should have a second Oscar nomination by now. He's never been nominated in Lead Actor. The Piano Lesson could be the movie that does it for him. That would be really cool. I would love to see Jackson back at the Oscars as a nominee again after so many decades. And then John David Washington is also really great. He's never been nominated. The movie's kind of a family affair. It's directed by Malcolm Washington, the brother of John David. It almost feels like the Samuel L. Jackson character should have been played by Denzel, but maybe that would have been too much, like too much of a family affair. Like It Runs in the Family, 2003, that Kirk Douglas, Michael Douglas movie, that didn't work out so well. So maybe the director was like, okay, I will cast my brother, but I'm not going to cast my dad. Let's go with Samuel L. Jackson. So yeah, I'm very interested in this movie, and I can't wait to see how it turns out. Number 8, The Nickel Boys. Now this one I think could be a major awards player based on the source material. It's based on the 2019 Pulitzer Prize-winning novel by Colson Whitehead. I have not read that book yet, but it got rave reviews and it's on my list. I want to check it out. The movie has a great cast, including Hamish Linklater and Anjanou Ellis-Taylor. And I mean, it could be The Goldfinch, right? That was a film in 2019 based on a Pulitzer Prize-winning novel, a fantastic novel. That film had a stellar cast and director and cinematographer and was a fall release, and it crashed and burned as hard as a movie can crash and burn. So that could be the Nickel Boys. I don't know. I don't know much about the director. I don't know what studio is going to put it out. But for this one, I do go back to that source material. I think the Nickel Boys is such a beloved book that it will translate into a movie that will be an awards player. Number 9, A Real Pain. So I attended this year's Sundance Film Festival. I saw 30 films. 30 movies. I was on the hunt for the next past lives. I didn't really get it. There were, of course, some movies I loved, including The Outrun starring Saoirse Ronan. I walked out of The Outrun and I thought, okay, Saoirse Ronan might be coming for her 5th Oscar nomination, but then she also has Blitz, as I talked about, coming out in November. And as great as she is in The Outrun, I worry that the movie might not give enough of a push, especially considering she will be considered for Blitz as well. So if I had to make the call right now in April, I do think Saoirse Ronan will get her 5th Oscar nomination, not for The Outrun, but for Blitz. We shall see. I do think, as of this moment, the movie I saw at Sundance that could be an awards player maybe doesn't get like 6, 7, 8 nominations at the Oscars or anything, but A Real Pain, starring Jesse Eisenberg and Kieran Culkin, was such a crowd pleaser. Eisenberg wrote and directed the movie too. He did such a great job, and that Kieran Culkin performance is spectacular. One of the 2 or 3 best performances I saw at Sundance. I was like, I don't know if this goes lead actor or supporting actor. You could make the case for both, but especially I would say because of his awards trajectory on Succession, that there might be an awards campaign for Culkin this fall. I just read a couple days ago that Searchlight is putting this movie out in theaters in mid-October. That's a very good time of year to release an awards contender. And it's a wonderful film. It was one of my favorites of the festival. Like, it absolutely could be one of those acclaimed fall release comedy dramas that audiences and awards voters embrace. A Real Pain, I would be shocked if that just came and went. And come January and February, nothing was happening with it. Again, can it get into Best Picture? Like, I don't know, but screenplay for Eisenberg, I do think is on the table. And Kieran Culkin is so memorable in that movie. I do think he could get an Oscar nomination. And number 10, Megalopolis. Okay, so this is my big wild card prediction. Megalopolis is going to be an awards player. This movie could go into so many different directions. Francis Ford Coppola's giant passion project. He self-funded. He started writing in the 1980s. We read about this movie for decades. We never thought it would actually happen. And then he got it done, and he has this extraordinary cast in the movie. I do think it's coming out in 2024, right? I mean, I guess it could be pushed to 2025, but he did just hold the first screening of the movie in LA a few days ago, and I guess the response was positive. I do feel like Megalopolis will come out this fall, and yeah, it could be the flop of the year. It could be a disaster of epic proportions. It could also be a return to form for Coppola after so many decades. I mean, his last awards player movie was Bram Stoker's Dracula in '92, and the last film he made that got into picture and director was Godfather 3. So more than 30 years ago, and the guy is in his 80s, this is probably going to be his last movie, I would guess. So this would be the last time Academy voters, awards voters in general, could reward him and his work. I mean, obviously it comes down to, is it a good movie? If it's not good, if it sucks, then we're not going to hear about Megalopolis come January, February, and March. But I don't know, there's something that warms my heart about this movie. That it's something Francis Ford Coppola wanted to make for decades, and he finally did it. There's just something about that story, that narrative, if the film is at least very good. Even if it's not amazing, if it's good, I do think the narrative of Megalopolis, like of the making of the movie, could propel it into award season, at least to some extent. I have no idea what to expect from this movie, but I don't know about you, I am very excited to see it. Alright, so those are the 10 movies I really have my eye on right now. I mean, of course, there are going to be surprises at the Cannes Film Festival, and then we get to the fall festivals, Venice, Telluride, Toronto. We'll have a better idea of the landscape of award season in a few months. It's really hard to predict in April, right? We don't know a whole lot, like especially this year because we don't have a lot of big iconic directors having fall releases. Like in some ways 2025 might be easier to predict because we have new movies coming out from Paul Thomas Anderson and Quentin Tarantino. 2024 right now is kind of up in the air, but that's also really exciting because there are so many movies coming our way in the months to come, many of us don't even know about at this moment in time, that are absolutely going to knock our socks off, and I can't wait. So to end here, just for fun, like I'm not feeling too confident about some of these choices. I feel like if I can get 5 movies right in Best Picture and 2 in both actor and actress, like I will be very happy. Like I will be thrilled if I can get at least some of these correct. I hope I don't personally crash and burn on these early Oscar predictions, but let's do it. Let's have some fun, and if they're all wrong, it will make for a fun reaction video in a year from now, right? So here we go, my ridiculously early predictions for the 97th Academy Awards in Best Picture, Best Actor, and Best Actress. Let's start with Best Picture. I have Dune Part 2, Joker, Folie à Deux, Blitz, Sing Sing, Conclave, The Apprentice, The Piano Lesson, The Nickel Boys, A Real Pain, and Megalopolis. In Best Actor, my predictions are Daniel Craig, Queer, Kieran Culkin, A Real Pain, Coleman Domingo, Sing Sing, Ray Fiennes, Conclave, and Samuel L. Jackson, The Piano Lesson. And finally, my predictions for Best Actress are Lady Gaga, Joker, Folie à Deux, Marianne Jean-Baptiste, Hard Truths, Angelina Jolie, Maria, Noemi Merlant, Emmanuel, and Saoirse Ronan, Blitz. Thanks so much for watching and subscribing, and let me know in the comments below what are your ridiculously early Oscar predictions for 2025, and we'll see you next time at the Awards Contender.